In leadership councils across America, especially high school and college, I think that we can make a difference by instituting more citizenship, more ideas and programs that are designed to address community needs. And all communities are different. I think that as long as we have a plan to institute the importance of honesty, of integrity, and of being involved in the overall development of our communities, it can affect our children in great ways. I know that we were lucky enough here in Warren County, in Waynesville, Ohio, to have a family that sort of pioneered citizenship to most of us children in the Sanders family. Charlie Sanders and his wife did a great job reaching out to the youth here in the community. And I was witness to that. And I seen how, through his uh, mannerisms and through his chivalry, how he developed relationships in the community and became our mayor. And it was specifically interesting because he was uh, an African American male who was a Democrat in a town that's mostly white and conservative. And it geared itself to me in a way that was unique because of my background in the Democratic Party, being how my Donaldson family and President Andrew Jackson were the founders of the Democratic Party. And so I got to see a man develop the town and reach out in the community to instill some of the democratic values that we hold dear to us as liberals and as Democrats. It's easy for us all to find ourselves in our own little world and not be concerned about the greater good of man. But it is unique and special for an individual to come out of their comfort zones, if you will, and to address things like educating youth, taking time out of their day to explain how to get results and why we're on that path to get them. I think that children benefit a lot more from seeing places like Paul Brown Stadium than they do any of these Procter and Gamble or bank named stadiums. I think it shows what a community member like Paul Brown can bring to a state and a city in all of his efforts, reaching out and touching people like Christ Hospital and now Kettering Health Network, working with them to better our community's health, to better our community's education, and to better our community's value of what crowdfunding can be. I have a broadcast called uh, Statue of Liberty or Lady of Liberty. There are several of them on there, and they talk about the importance of communities coming together and trying to find solutions like they did when Mr. Laboutier sent a symbol of liberty to the shores of New York and let us know how much that they appreciated the way that America was developed and the way that Americans looked at the rest of the world as somewhat of a harbor of safety, a harbor of growth, a harbor of idealism. And we faced the challenge of where do we put the largest sculptor in the world's work. And we had to come together through the media, through church, and through the word of mouth to get the supplies together to lay down one of the great foundations in the history of the world to place Our Lady of Liberty. I believe that if we take these ideals from the past and we try to work together in our communities, our states, and our federal government, we can accomplish great things in the world. I think that when we take a look at things like the immigration issues, and we take a look at things that are going on in Europe with Vladimir Putin, and we see all the atrocities out here, we can recognize from history that these things have happened before. And as they did, we took our time and were complacent because we didn't want to come out of our comfort zones like someone named, someone may want to get involved to try to alleviate the situation before it gets too big. We see that situation today in American politics. And as I look back on our history, I can't help but wonder if the American voters are once again going to be complacent and step back and allow a bully to take over a philosophy and shove it down our youth's throat like Adolf Hitler did when he wrote Mein Kampf and had all of these speakeasy meetings throughout Germany, recruiting our young children of the world to join in his Nazi skinhead type philosophies, where they believed that they were righteous and they believed that they were the symbol of perfection from God. And they believed it so much that they began to manufacture homicides upon Jews, upon handicaps, upon gays, and upon anyone who did not resemble their idea of the perfect human being, which was the blue-eyed, blonde-haired Aryan. We've seen how devastating that complacency could be as we sit back and allow that group to take power in Europe by having their own takeover of their own government in Berlin. We waited too long, and we had a lot of time to be able to try to address the situation. But the numbers became enormous out of Europe as Winston Churchill called and had the United States come to sit with him in a meeting to discuss things with Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler. And if I remember the story correctly, and it's a tremendous one, once Franklin Delano Roosevelt seen what was going on in Europe and some of the atrocious pictures that we still see today from Auschwitz and other camps, he decided then and there that he was going to be on Winston Churchill's side, and he was going to take on the Russians, and he was going to take on the Germans. And as he began to leave, Adolf Hitler made a statement. He said, "Mr. President, you're the perfect representation of the United States of America, weak and crippled." And for the first time in many years, the President of the United States stood from his wheelchair, turned around, disabled, and took 3 steps and placed his hands on the desk where they were having their meeting. And he said, "Mr. Fuhrer, the next time you see me, you'll beg for mercy."